As you have probably learned by now, it is not a simple exercise to just go out and buy a retirement home. This is because retirement homes are sold under a variety of different arrangements, which we will call purchase schemes for the purposes of this tutorial. If you wanted to be technically correct, the term scheme really only applies to those villages that are operated as registered retirement villages under the retirement villages legislation. However, for ease of reference in this tutorial, we will refer to all of the purchase arrangements here as schemes. Retirement villages are sold under 5 main types of schemes. A scheme describes the way in which an individual purchases and lives in a retirement village unit. It is not unusual to find variations of each type of scheme, particularly between the different states. The 5 different types of purchase schemes are freehold, typically strata titled, leasehold, company title, rental, and the deferred management fee or DMF scheme, also known as loan license or loan lease. We will cover the DMF scheme last, as it is the most prevalent and ironically the most complex of all the schemes. Freehold. The freehold scheme is usually strata titled and similar to any freehold property purchase that uses a community title scheme, such as a block of units or townhouses. From a retirement living perspective, these properties are generally located in complexes that may be registered as a retirement village under the legislation and are exclusive to a particular age group such as over 55s. They may charge a weekly fee and a body corporate fee. Occasionally, a freehold village will also charge some kind of deferred fee, although this is unusual. Sometimes freehold villages permit the unit owner to rent out the property if they choose, provided that the tenant complies with the village covenants regarding age. This is also unusual, and most retirement villages, whether freehold or not, have strict owner-occupier provisions. When you buy a strata-titled freehold property, there is a body corporate or owners corporation that governs the complex within the limits of the corporate charter and the relevant state or territory community titles legislation. The corporation has a committee made up of unit owners who hold the various positions of office such as chairperson, treasurer and secretary. Freehold schemes will provide you with the best financial outcome at exit. Unfortunately, very few of them actually exist. Leasehold. Leasehold is another type of purchase scheme, but it shouldn't be confused with the loan lease arrangement found under the DMF scheme. The leasehold scheme is where the operator leases you the land and you own the house, which can be a proper brick and tile on slab building or a demountable structure similar to a trailer home. You pay a weekly or monthly fee of around $100 per week, which includes your rental for the land, as well as a share of the running expenses for the village, including rates, maintenance and management fees. Most leasehold complexes do not charge exit fees. However, this will depend on whether you are considered under the contract to be an owner or a non-owner. A leasehold scheme will provide you with the second best financial outcome at exit. Company title schemes. Under company title schemes, a corporation owns the village and a resident purchases shares in the company at a market value that is reflective of the value of the property they are buying. Ownership of the shares gives the right to occupy the premises attached to those shares. A board of directors, similar to a residence committee but with legal powers, is appointed by the shareholders and responsible for the operation of the village. The corporation and the board of directors are obliged to comply with the company's Articles of Association and operate within the Corporations Act. It is rare to find company title schemes today. Rental. The rental scheme is not really a purchase scheme because you don't actually buy anything. Rental schemes operate under standard residential tenancy agreements, whereby the owner or operator of a unit leases the residence to a tenant. The rent payable under the lease is generally determined by the level of government benefits received by the residents from programs such as the aged pension and rental assistance allowance. This structure is typically used in fringe and suburban locations and is popular with retirees who possess a limited capital and income base. These facilities are usually not registered retirement villages. The units themselves are usually one-bedroom apartments, often only around 40 square metres in size. They may be furnished or unfurnished and do not include garaged car parking. The complexes offer a central dining facility with meal service, and as such, the units only have rudimentary kitchenettes. Deferred management fee. The final and most complex of all the purchase schemes is the Deferred Management Fee, or DMF scheme. Most retirement villages in Australia operate under DMF schemes. DMF schemes have been structured to work within the retirement village legislation while seeking to appease our cultural need to own property. This is in contrast to the retirement living sectors in the US and Europe, where the population is much more comfortable with renting. The DMF scheme is also known as a lease loan or loan license scheme. In essence, it is an annual fee charged to the resident for each year of occupancy, capped at a set number of years and calculated as a percentage of either the original sale price or entry price or the subsequent resale or exit value of the licence. The original intention of a DMF scheme some 30 years ago was to allow retirees to buy a unit for 20 to 30% less than the market value of an equivalent freehold property. The village owner would then make that discount back over the next 5 to 10 years through the accrued fee. Unfortunately today, retirement village owners charge residents the full equivalent freehold value of the unit as well as the deferred fee. The deferred fee is structured around a long-term right to occupy contract in the form of a lease or licence, which the resident of an individual unit executes with the village owner. This is a long-term contract between the owner and the resident, and commits the resident to paying a management fee that is deferred until such time as they vacate their unit. The fee is accrued over the duration of the resident's tenure in the property and is physically received by the operator only upon departure of the resident. The fee is usually retained from the proceeds of the resale. Check out our tutorial on deferred management fee schemes to see how these contracts work. Under the deferred fee scheme, residents pay a weekly service fee to the owner to cover the costs of operating the village, such as insurance, rates, utilities and staffing. The owner of the village also contributes to these costs on behalf of the common areas and any units yet to be sold. Legislation prevents operators from making a profit on service costs, so weekly fees are set at the level of total costs, including the owner contribution. It is important to note here that under a deferred management fee scheme, you as the resident do not actually own the freehold title to your unit. This remains with the owner of the village. Instead, you purchase a right to occupy in the form of a lease or licence. The occupation right is similar to freehold title in that it costs you around the same level of cash to buy it, and you enjoy the same rights of occupation similar to that of a tenant under a commercial lease. The deferred management fee scheme is the subject of much angst and bad feeling from retirement community residents. We believe this is not so much from the unfairness of the contract, but rather from the lack of understanding of how the contract works, which results in unpleasant surprises for the resident when they consider moving. You will find that the more expensive retirement communities are usually the ones with more services and facilities. In the retirement industry, it is very much the case that you get what you pay for. If you want swimming pools, spas, gymnasiums and restaurants, then you will have to pay for it. Ironically, it is the communities with more facilities that are more popular with buyers and therefore experience better capital growth. However, there is no denying that deferred fee schemes weigh heavily in favour of the village owner. Village owners and developers have invested many thousands of dollars with accountants and lawyers to design contracts that work within the appropriate state and federal laws, yet maximise the profit and tax outcomes for the owner. But is this necessarily a bad thing? It is wrong to assume that village owners who use deferred fee contracts are profit-minded vultures that don't care about their residents. Many not-for-profit operators, such as church groups or benevolent societies, also use deferred fee contracts. You know, at the end of the day, successful villages are those with well-funded, interested owners. If an owner is making money from the enterprise, they will be more inclined to spend money on the upkeep of the community facilities to keep the complex looking fresh and attractive. No one benefits when a retirement village owner goes broke.